Sony's confirmed that Project Amethyst is launching in Q1 of next year, and I'm excited about it. After that, let's look at the performance report and, of course, the review breakdown for Borderlands 4. And finally, these are the top 20 best-selling PlayStation games ever. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation. And yeah, this is a news video where we're going through all the latest PlayStation news, starting out with Project Amethyst. So this has been a long time coming, but essentially what it is Sony kind of throwing in the towel on PSSR and realizing that they need to put a little bit more work in. And they were like, hey, the PS5 Pro and PS5 have AMD chips. We've worked directly with AMD to get FSR 2 and 3, I want to say, implemented on the PS5 platform. So let's work with them to take what's working in PSSR, ditch what's not working, and combine the best features of PSSR with the best features of FSR 4, and it'll largely help the PS5 platform as a whole, because PSSR is great when it's used correctly, right? Like, we've seen plenty of games where it works well, but then when it's not used correctly, it somehow manages to look worse than FSR 2 and 3, which, like, FSR is cool. I like that it's open source. Like, you can use it on NVIDIA cards and AMD cards, whereas you can only use DLSS on NVIDIA cards, but it's not really all that great at the end of the day. So like, seeing PSSR break down and not be as good as even the old generations of FSR, clearly something needed to be figured out. So I think this is the correct move, because they can take the stuff that's easy to work with and combine it with the drag and drop solution, which is FSR 4. As someone who plays on PC as well, I think this is definitely something that's worth being excited over, because I just got a graphics card that supports FSR 4. Certain games I've played natively support it, and others you have to like turn it on through a mod or whatever, but I did go back to Silent Hill 2 and try FSR 4, and it is a night and day difference between PSSR and old versions of FSR and even DLSS. Like, this is one of the only games where I've used FSR 4 and seen a legitimate difference between DLSS and this that makes them look just as good as each other. It's honestly kind of insane. The big bummer in all this, though, is that it's only confirmed for the PS5 Pro as of now. So if you've got the PS5 Pro like I do, you're getting a free massive graphics boost that will also help performance, because PSSR, while it does help with upscaling, it is a little expensive, so it doesn't provide enough frames to really keep things over 60 in a lot of the games that don't use it correctly, whereas FSR is very cheap to use for the GPU and CPU. Like, it doesn't take a lot of overhead. It just looks at the image on screen, uses an AI algorithm to upscale it as good as possible, and the big jump in quality from 3 to 4 is awesome. So, but I think there is a chance it could come to the PS5, and I really think it should. I'll talk about that in a sec, but the reason I think there is a chance is because they also announced that while it is coming early next year, they're also going to make sure that you can use some FSR 4 features on RDNA 3 cards and chips. Now, I think the PS5 is RDNA 2, but it has extra features from RDNA 3. Like, it launched early with extra stuff. So if they can backport it to the 3rd generation, they should be able to at least get some of the features up and running on the PS5, like the good upscaling or something like that. I just think they need to implement a better solution than the older versions of FSR 3, because if you look at the Nintendo Switch 2, I mean, it's a super underpowered chip. It has access to a way older version of DLSS. I think it's like DLSS 2. And if you compare games like Star Wars Outlaws side by side to something like the Series S, they hold up really well, even using that old version of DLSS. So any gains we can get with FSR on the PS5 side of the fence are not only appreciated, but should be something that Sony strives to implement. I just think it would be a good thing overall. The best part about all this, though, is that if you bought a launch PS5 and you're like begrudgingly excited to buy a PS6 when it does launch, all of the work they're doing on the PS5 Pro is going to be implemented and carried forward and improved on the PS6. So like, anything they work through on the PS5 Pro is essentially just beta testing this new form of upscaling for the PlayStation 6, and you're getting some of the best PC features like available on the market right now. Like, I was scared to get an AMD GPU because I've always only gotten NVIDIA GPUs to get DLSS, and even though FSR 3 is not the best, I can definitely tell the difference. It is good enough, I would say, to hold me over till FSR 4, and the limited amount of games that I've tried 4 in pretty much made me an AMD diehard going forward. So if they can keep up the momentum of good cards like the 9070 XT and also improve the chips inside the PS6 and everything else, I think AMD is finally figuring their stuff out, and the best thing is they are good at making stuff cost competitive. The reason I went with AMD in the first place was because it can run SteamOS. You can't do it on NVIDIA cards, but also the performance I'm getting out of this card is like a 4070 Ti or 5070 Ti, around that level, and I'm paying like half the price and getting around the same performance, and in some games it's even better, to the point where I don't even have to use upscaling. So I really like what AMD is doing. I'm glad Sony is partnering up with them. I just hope they can figure out how to get this graphics boost feature backported to the regular PS5, because it's going to be extremely helpful. But if they don't, I mean, the PS5 Pro is way overpriced, but if you can trade in, get one used, figure out a way to get a pretty healthy discount on one, as someone who has one, I think the purchase was totally justified. I hope we don't immediately get it and then not really see it implemented because the PS6 gets announced. I know 2027 is the like leaked rumored date that we're going to see it at least announced. I hope they can push it back just a little bit, because I really think the PS5 Pro is kind of overkill for some of the stuff we've been getting. Like, we have some outliers that don't run all that well, but when a game works on PS5 Pro, it feels like playing on my big beefy gaming PC that cost way more. So like, if they can pull that performance out of it, I just like don't feel the need to immediately upgrade. I just don't feel like I need it just yet, like I did between the PS4 and PS5 or PS3 and PS4. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't complain about better tech. I just don't feel that like urge for like Sony to announce it, is basically what I'm saying. Real quick, huge shout out to FlexiSpot for helping me pay the bills around here by sponsoring the video with their C7 Max chair. I spend way more time than I would like sitting down, but the C7 Max makes it very comfortable, because this chair is comfortable and it's also extremely durable. I'm a pretty tall guy, so it's actually kind of tough to find a chair I can fit in. This one passes with flying colors though, because it's so adjustable. Everything from the lumbar support all the way up to the 3D headrest is perfectly adjustable, so you can fit it to your body, which is crazy. And it even has seat depth features, so you can make this the most comfortable chair for you possible. That comfort comes from the 0.2 inch latex seat cushion, which is great, and it also has memory foam, so you can sit in this thing for up to 12 hours and still be comfortable. If you want to try one out for yourself, and you definitely should, there's a 30-day refund policy for a risk-free trial, and there's a 10-year warranty with direct replacement for damaged parts. And if you're on a little bit more of a limited budget, there's also the C5 chair, which comes along with great features. It's super durable and it'll stand up to your sitting needs. There's also the C7 Morpher, which includes upgraded lumbar support and even upper back support as well. Upgrade your workspace with FlexiSpot and don't miss out on the 9th anniversary sale. Use my code C750 for $50 off at the link below. Once again, a huge shout out to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. But speaking of new big games that take advantage of the PS5's power, Borderlands 4 is out by the time you're seeing this video, and unfortunately the review period for this game was a little bit weird. Randy Pitchford was trying to do some damage control on Twitter, saying there's a big day one patch that's going to address a lot of the issues reviewers were seeing. Then he kind of like backed it up by saying it's an open world game. They haven't really done anything like that, so give them some grace. And then they only sent out codes for review on PC. No one got early codes on PS5 until the day the game came out. If you're someone who really pays attention to performance, I think it's worth holding off on this game for at least a few hours until some performance videos come out. But if you're someone who's fine using quality mode on your PlayStation 5, you don't mind 30 FPS, or you like using performance mode because you have a VRR TV and don't mind some fluctuation in frame rate, I think Unreal Engine games are getting better to the point where you know if you're the kind of person where that's going to bother you or not, but just keep it in mind that they didn't send out codes for anything other than PC, and that's usually a troubling sign. The reviews that did drop though were largely very positive about the game. They praised the gunplay, which is awesome because I have tried every single Borderlands game. I beat the first one on the Nintendo Switch during lockdowns when they released that collection of 1, 2, and the pre-sequel. I've played 2 a lot. I've gotten towards the end of it with my friends, and for some reason we've just never finished it. I bought 3, I played it a little bit with my buddies. The story was just so bad that I couldn't keep playing it. Wonderlands was my favorite of all the ones that I tried out, so it's never really been a series that hooked me, and it mostly comes down to the lack of like fights in between fights. Like when you get in a fight, it's awesome, the gunplay's sweet, using the powers is cool, but the driving where you get in your car and have to drive to the next objective is so boring boring to me in these games that like it just makes me zone out and want to podcast. This one looks like it's going for a darker tone with its story, none of that weird humor that they really pushed to the max in the third game, but still people are saying that it's definitely a podcast game, like the story's just serviceable at best. I'm going to pick this up, I think. I just really want to play a first-person shooter action RPG right now, and the fact that this one can be played offline is a huge win for me. If you guys don't play a lot of ARPGs, all of the big ones seem to have an always online requirement that doesn't seem like it should be necessary, like Diablo 4, Path of Exile 2, the original Path of Exile. Last Epoch was novel for having an offline mode, but it's like too fantasy oriented for me. I like that dark grittiness in my ARPGs. So like the fact that Borderlands 4 is just an open world FPS that can be played online with multiplayer or completely offline is a huge win for me. Also, just like the idea of going through this open world and collecting a ton of loot, that's like my dream game really. So like I'm definitely going to wait and see if I can at least get a consistent 30 out of it. I think that's good enough for me, and I'd love to see how it performs on PS5 Pro. But looking at the reviews that did come out for it, it's getting pretty high scores. There are a few 7s in the mix, but it's mostly 8s, 9s, and even some 10s. So if you're really into Borderlands, it seems like this is the one you've been waiting for since Borderlands 2. It looks like they really just dug into what features fans really want in Borderlands and improved on those instead of just trying to throw everything into the mix. So I'm always there for a finely tuned game, and it seems like that's what this is. So yeah, I mean, there's so many games coming out this fall. This is one of the first big ones after Metal Gear Solid. Let me know if you're getting it down in the comments below. If you see me online playing it, feel free to jump into my game. And for the final news story here, let's talk about how Matt Piscatella dug into the archives over at Circana. It used to be called NPD Group, but it's basically a game tracking service that's been around forever. So they have all this data, and he figured out what the top 20 best-selling games on the PlayStation platform are for 30 years now, because the PS1 is 30 years old. He shared two lists. One of them is the amount of money made, and the other one is copies sold. That's what I'm going to focus on because that's really what matters to me as a metric, like the amount of digital and physical copies of a game that were sold. So the number one game is not going to shock anyone. It's Grand Theft Auto 5. This game never leaves the top sellers for every month since it's come out, and I don't understand how there are still people who don't have Grand Theft Auto 5 out there to where it can keep dominating the charts. I mean, it's a great game. I love it. I got the collector's edition back when it came out in 2013. I was still in college. My buddies and I all went to GameStop and got our copies, and then we all set up our TVs in the house I was living in and all just played it for like 20 hours, and I'll never forget it. Number 2 is Minecraft. That one's not really a shocker either. Everyone and their dog has Minecraft, whether it's on a phone, a PlayStation, a Vita, a PS3, an Xbox 360. Like, it's been around a long time. It's just a huge game, huge property, and the movie did amazing this year in terms of box office. I didn't see it. I'm not like a huge Minecraft guy, but like I'm kind of surprised that that's not number 1, honestly. Like GTA 5 is the 5th entry in the series, so it just shows how many people love Grand Theft Auto, and I think GTA 6 is going to be massive. 3rd on the list is Red Dead Redemption 2. The weird thing about that is it's just like a victim of Grand Theft Auto's success, right? Like in any other reality, if any other publisher released a game that sold that many copies, it would be monumental and amazing. But because Grand Theft Auto 5 sold so many copies, it caused them to like deprioritize support for Red Dead Online. There's still no PS5 upgrade for it. They dropped that game like a hot potato, which is crazy because it sold the 3rd most amount of copies on the PlayStation platform ever in history. And it's like, it came out in 2018. Grand Theft Auto 5 had many years to reach the number that it did, and Red Dead was able to do it in what, like 7 years? That's honestly kind of insane. In the 4th spot is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Now, if this is just counting copies sold on disc, that's crazy, man. Like the PS2 sold a lot of units, but a big chunk of them were just people wanting to use it as a cheap DVD player. Like not everyone who bought it was trying to game on it. That just shows the ubiquity of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas back in the day. 5th on the list, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. I think a lot of people look back on this one as like the 2nd best. The 1st best would be the original Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 from way back. But then if you had to rank it, I think it would either be like Black Ops and Black Ops 2 in 2nd place or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. Like that top 4 slots are all basically what your favorite one is and which one you probably played first. I loved that game. I sunk hours into it back when it came out. It just had a cool, gritty, realistic tone. It was before they started ruining it with all these movie skins and everything, and the gunplay is unmatched. So like, I'm not surprised that it sold that many copies and people go back and play it all the time. 6th on the list, we have a Sony first party game. I bet you can guess what it is. It's Marvel's Spider-Man. I mean, they nailed it with that game. That like just jettisoned Insomniac to the upper echelon of Sony first party developers. What can be said about Spider-Man 2018? 2018 outside of the fact that it's just one of the best games of all time, one of the best Spider-Man stories ever. I love that final boss fight with Doc Ock. They nailed it with that game, and they deserve to have more sales than this, honestly. Like, I'd like to see it even higher on the list, but I don't think Sony's going to be upset about taking the 6th spot. The rest of the list does have some first parties like God of War 2018. It has a lot of Call of Duties. The thing I'm noticing is that there's a lot of PS4 generation games on this list. So like, it is kind of emblematic of the effect that Sony, with their first party this gen, has kind of lost the magic, I would say. Like, the games are great that they've been putting out. I like Death Stranding 2 a lot. I loved Returnal. God of War Ragnarok was amazing, but I feel like we're kind of getting into that back half of the generation where we're going to see some more great PlayStation games that they've been cooking for a long time. And hopefully this list gets a shake up, because I like Call of Duty. I like Grand Theft Auto. I love Red Dead Redemption 2. It's just like crazy to see that the top 20 best-selling games ever for Sony on their systems is basically made up of third parties with a few PS4 era first parties in between. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in this one. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.